Memorial Day is right around the corner, and that means for a lot of you guys, it's the official start of grilling season. Now, some of you might be thinking of getting into grilling for the first time or thinking of getting a new grill, and I get asked all the time, what is the easiest way to get into charcoal grilling and why I like it so much. So in today's video, we're gonna go over all the charcoal grilling basics, from the grill to the fuel to the setup, maintenance. We're gonna throw a steak on, and I'm gonna show you guys how easy it is, so hopefully by the end of it, you'll feel much more comfortable with charcoal grills. When it comes to charcoal grills, there's a whole bunch of different options out there. There's cheap grills, expensive grills, and a ton of different options in between. My very first grill, and what got me started with charcoal grilling, was a Weber kettle. So that's what we're gonna use today, and I'm gonna show you guys how easy it is to use this thing at home. There are a number of different reasons why I went with the Weber kettle when I was getting into charcoal grilling. For one, it's a very basic grill and awesome for beginners. There's not really too many parts on it, so it's simple to use. It's readily available. You can get these at your big box stores, barbecue stores. You can order them online, and it just seemed like a really good grill to learn how to cook with charcoal. We purchased this Weber kettle a couple months ago. I wanted to kind of get back into what got me started in charcoal grilling in the first place. This is the 22-inch model. It's right around $200, and again, readily available. You can buy them in the store, order them online, and it's a very basic grill, making it super easy for entry-level grillers. And as your skills develop on the grill, you can do more complicated cooks like brisket, pulled pork, and things like that. But some of the features on it, so you do have a temperature gauge right here on top. Nice, easy handle to remove the lid. You've got the vent control for regulating your temperature. You've got your cooking grate, a grate underneath to hold the charcoal, and more vents underneath to regulate temperature and to clean out the ash. Weber does make a couple different models of the kettle. There's a smaller one, a larger one, but this 22-inch model seems to be perfect for us. So I cook for a family of 4, plus we make all the content that we share on social media, and this size seems to be perfect for pretty much anything. So we've done steaks, chicken, we've done ribs, pulled pork, anything that I throw at it, it can cook and handle without a problem. I've been wanting to make this video for a while to show you guys that charcoal grilling is not as hard as it might seem, or as hard as you might think it is. It's honestly pretty simple, and with a couple tips that I'll share throughout the video and the methods for lighting the coals and cooking food once the grill is set up, anybody can do it. Like I tell people all the time, all the recipes that we put out, all the content that we make, if I can do it, anybody can do it. I'm not a pro chef or a big barbecue pit master. I just cook in my backyard and share what we make with everybody who's watching. Next up, let's talk about the charcoal. Now, just like with charcoal grills, there's also a ton of different charcoal brands out there. There's cheap ones, more expensive ones, different types of charcoal. What I learned on was the Kingsford original briquette, so that's what we're going to use today. I like this because it's readily available, it's not expensive, it burns super clean, all natural, and it's absolutely perfect when it comes to cooking on the kettle grill. Kingsford also makes a couple different varieties of briquettes. There's the original version, which is what I have here. There's also a match light version, which is also a briquette that's been pre-soaked in lighter fluid. Now, I'm not really a huge fan of that one. I really prefer the original. Then there's also a low and slow version that kind of burns a little slower from the original. There's a hot and fast searing version of briquette charcoal. But really, if you're just starting off and you wanted to learn charcoal grilling, get the original bag and it's gonna work great. Now, there are also different types of charcoal you can get when it comes to charcoal grilling. There's the briquettes and there's lump charcoal, which I'm sure you guys have seen me use in my videos, especially when I use my Big Green Egg, the ceramic Kamado style cookers. Now, lump charcoal can get much hotter than briquettes, making it the perfect fuel type to use in the ceramic insulated grills. However, on the kettle grill, because it's not as well insulated as the Big Green Egg is, if you use lump charcoal and you're not as experienced with charcoal grilling, you run the risk of burning your food because that charcoal can get super hot. Your grate sits much lower and closer to the fuel source, which is why I like using briquettes in the kettle grill. They're simpler to use and much easier for beginners. At the end of the day, it really depends on you, what kind of charcoal you want to cook with. There's different types of charcoal for different types of grills, so try different ones and see what you like. Now that I went over the basics of the grill and the charcoal, let's get our grill fired up. I'm gonna open up my charcoal. So again, this is what those briquettes look like. The other nice thing about the briquettes is that they are very uniform and they provide a very even heat during your cook. To start, I'm going to remove the cooking grate. So that is the first grate that is inside the grill. And I'm going to use a chimney starter to light my charcoal. So what this is, it's a chimney looking accessory. The charcoal goes inside. As you can see, there's holes all around providing airflow to get the charcoal lit and ignited quickly. You don't have to use one of these. You can just dump your charcoal inside the grill. This just speeds up the process and makes it much easier. So this will go on our bottom grate of the grill right there. I'm gonna dump my charcoal right in the chimney. Anytime that I'm lighting a new chimney of charcoal, I always fill it up to the top. That just ensures a nice even cook and gets enough charcoal for whatever it is that I'm making. Now, when it comes to lighting the charcoal, there's also a couple different methods. This one here is honestly my go-to because you don't really need any additional accessories. This is just a crumpled up paper towel. So I'm gonna put this on the bottom of my grate here. I'm gonna add a little oil right on top of the paper towel to kind of soak it up. What that oil will do is it'll slow down that burn process of the paper towel so it doesn't just burn, you know, in 20 seconds. We're gonna light that paper towel. And now I'm gonna take my chimney and place it right on top. So what's gonna happen is that the paper towel is burning, as that oil is igniting, it's gonna light those coals from the bottom and ignite this full chimney. Start to finish, this will take about 15 minutes before our charcoal is ready to cook with. While the charcoal is preheating, I'm gonna prep a steak, and I'll show you guys how to cook that and how easy it is. So this is usually my workflow when I'm cooking at home. I'll ignite my charcoal. Like I said, that process takes about 15 minutes or so. And in the meantime, I'm gonna prep whatever it is that we're making that day. So today, just to show you how easy it is, we're gonna cook up this beautiful ribeye steak. Here, check this thing out. Beautiful marbling. Now, anytime you're cooking steak at home, cooking a thicker steak is much easier than cooking a thinner steak. A thin steak has a tendency to overcook, or they're much easier to overcook, whereas this will take a little bit more time and it's much easier to maintain that temperature. So all I'm gonna do, I'm gonna hit it with my steak seasoning. Just go nice and heavy on both sides. Just press that in. I'm doing all this in this packaging that the steak came in, keeping it nice and clean. Perfect. So now steak is seasoned. I'm gonna let this sit on the countertop until my charcoal is ready to go. It's gonna bring the steak up to room temperature. It's gonna start to kind of sweat out, absorb the seasoning, and then we'll throw it on the grill. Move this out a little bit. Now the briquettes, they do get a little smoky when you first ignite them. You can see that kind of fire slowly building up on the bottom, but we gotta wait until all this thick white smoke is gone before these guys are ready to cook on. It's been about 15 minutes, and as you can see, that thick billowing white smoke is gone. You can see the fire inside the chimney on the side, and this thing just feels super hot. So what I'm gonna do now is just take this handle and dump it all into the grill. Ooh, there we go. The first time that I was cooking with charcoal, I think I just dumped all the coals in the center of the grill, which is I think what most people would think to do. But what you want to do, and what I like to do, is to just arrange them on one side of the grill so you create this dual zone heat setup. So you have the hot side right here over the coals, and then you have the cooler side on this side. So this way, whatever it is that you're cooking, if it gets a little too hot, or it starts to char up a little bit too much, you can always move it to the indirect heat side of the grill. Next, I'm gonna put the grate right back on top. And our grill is set up and ready to go. Now, the way that this is running right now, this coal, the charcoal is really hot. So if you're doing something like a chicken breast, a thin steak, like a flank steak or a skirt steak, this is the perfect setup for that type of cook. You want to put your proteins directly over the coals, leave that lid off, and just flip it, you know, every 2 to 3 minutes to create this beautiful crust and a char on the outside. For our steak, however, since our steak is nice and thick, if I just put this directly over the coals, that outside is going to burn before the inside has a chance to cook. So I'm going to put this on the indirect heat side of the grill. So right here. So as you can see, the coals are on this side, super hot. You got the cooler side with the steak right over there. Now I'm going to take my lid, put this on top. One other thing to notice, the thermometer is directly over the coals and my air vent is over the meat. So what's happening, as those coals are burning, creating that heat and that smoke, it has to travel to this side of the grill, over the meat, under the steak, and exit on this side. So I'm gonna open these up to about halfway, and this is what's used to regulate temperature in charcoal grills. There's a vent on the bottom where the air comes in, and the vent on top where the airflow comes out. The more these vents are open, the hotter the grill is gonna get. So for this cook, I'm gonna do about halfway open on top, halfway open on the bottom, and that's gonna stabilize the temperature right around at 300, 350 degrees, which is gonna be perfect for our steak cook. Steak has been on for about 5-7 minutes or so. So all I'm gonna do now is just give it a flip to cook it nice and even. So right, that heat source is coming from this side, and you wanna make sure it cooks nice and even on all sides. So I like to flip it every few minutes on that indirect side, cover back up, and continue on. It's been another couple minutes. My steak hit 110 degrees internal, meaning we are ready to sear this guy off. So I'm gonna pull it off, put on my little tray here. I'm gonna leave the lid off, and that's gonna allow the charcoal to get super hot again, and then I'm gonna sear it off. One other kind of must-have accessory when it comes to grilling, whether you're using charcoal, gas, or whatever, even indoor cooking, is a good, high-quality meat thermometer. This is a instant read thermometer from Thermoworks. It's super durable, very fast, very accurate, and that's how you know when your meats, your chicken, whatever you're cooking is ready and done. Charcoal is getting nice and hot again. Whew. You can see those flames slowly burning up. So I'm gonna take my steak and put it directly over the coals. Ooh, that sizzle sounds so good. So this is gonna be a quick sear. I mean, maybe 2 minutes per side, minute and a half. Again, lid off for this portion of the cook. I want that fire to get super hot and sear off our steak. Let's give our guy a flip. Ooh, look at that. Nice sizzle. That fat is getting crispy on the edges. So we are almost there. This right here is why I absolutely love cooking with charcoal. You can't get this flavor any other way. Sure, you can get a gas grill nice and hot, and it's kind of similar, but cooking over those coals, that live fire, there is really nothing else like it, especially when you're cooking a steak. All right, let's pull the steak off. I mean, check this out. Beautiful crust, nice sear, beautiful color. I'm gonna let this rest just like any other protein. About 5 minutes or so. That's gonna stop the cooking process, allow those juices to redistribute, and then we're gonna slice into it. While that steak is resting, let's talk about the grill and what we do now that we're done with the cook. If you still have charcoal left, like I do now, I mean, I put quite a bit here just to kind of show you guys the process and what I usually do. If you still have charcoal left in there, you can leave the lid open and just let it kind of burn off on its own. Or if you're done and you wanna extinguish it out, just put the cover on top. Close the top lid to trap all that air inside, and then we're going to close the bottom lid all the way as well. So that's going to prevent the air from coming inside the grill, stop the air from escaping out the top, and it's just going to extinguish the smoke. That's going to extinguish the charcoal and put the fire out. One other super important tip, especially when it comes to cooking with charcoal, even though the flame might be out, even though the charcoal might feel cool and the grill might cool down, don't dump any leftover charcoal in your trash for at least a day. It might still catch a spark, might still be smoldering a little bit, even though you might not see it. So it's best just to leave it inside the grill for at least a day, and then you can dump all this out. One other thing to cover is the maintenance on these grills, and there's honestly not that much to it. We still have the coals in there, but the main thing to keep in mind is the ash that gets created when the charcoal burns down. So as you can see here, when these coals burn down, that ash drops down to the bottom of the grill and it collects in this basket right underneath. So once this fills up, you know, after every 5 or 10 cooks, you remove this part out, dump all the ash, and your grill is ready to go. Steak has been resting for about 10 minutes. So let's cut into it and see how we did. It smells absolutely amazing, and I just know it's going to be delicious. Oh yeah. So this was a ribeye steak. So what I like to do is remove the ribeye cap, which is this top section here. We'll slice this off separately, and then you're left with the eye of the ribeye. And let's just slice it up and see how we did. I think I think we did pretty well. Super juicy, and this was a choice ribeye, so not an expensive cut by any means. Just your standard, regular steak. Look at that. Gonna squeeze that for everybody who likes that. Yeah. This was a medium rare cook, right? So the final temperature on the steak was right around 125 degrees when we pulled it off the grill after the sear. If you like it a little bit more done, you know, which is fine too, you can take it up to about 135 for a medium finish. You know, I really wouldn't go anywhere past that because then it gets kind of tough and chewy and not really that tasty. Medium rare is my go-to. Oh yeah. You can taste the seasoning right away. And you taste the kind of fire-cooked crust on the outside. That's cooking it from over those coals with those flames shooting underneath that steak, creating this beautiful sear. A steak cooked over charcoal is my favorite, absolute favorite way to make steak. Not a pan sear, not a broiler, not an oven, not anything else. Directly over the coals like this, and it's the best steak you can make. Oh yeah. So that is going to be it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this grilling basics video. We talked about the grills, we talked about the different types of charcoal, how to light it, how to maintain temperature, how to cook a delicious steak, how to clean it. Let me know in the comments what you think, and if you want to see more of these types of videos, hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribed already, and I will see you guys next time. This is such a good steak.